Sometimes I think back on things and I wonder at the time, why why didn't I ask questions? Why wasn't I curious? Why did I connect the dots, fill in the missing holes, or in this case, filling in the missing time? 1958, I was a young kid in Sunnyvale, California. At that time, it wasn't the big Silicon Valley place that it is now with Yahoo and Google and Apple and all those computer places. It was farms, basically. There was some dairy farms. In fact, on the street I was at, there was a dairy farm right across the street, a little farm. There was pear orchards, apricots, and sundry agricultural products. But the housing tract was right up smack dab next to this farm across the street from me. I was facing the front of the farm. My friend had a house with his backyard, actually, property behind him that was the farm. And we were in the same scout troop, and we decided that one night, Saturday night, we were going to try out our camping equipment and have a little fun and camp out overnight and had some popcorn and soda. And we had a big pile of wood. We were going to make a big bonfire, and we had our sleeping bags out there. And we were out there with our bonfire going. We're looking up at the sky, and it was the most bizarre, crazy at the time, interesting thing because it was one of those like meteorite shower nights where just, except there was a formation of like these things going, and there was like they were traveling and changing directions, and we're watching patterns 6, 8, 10, 12, 16, 20. I mean, it wasn't just shooting stars. These stars that we thought were shooting stars were actually changing directions and actually going in like a formation. And we watched that for a while. We were just totally fascinated. And then all of a sudden we see what looked like a flaming meteorite or something coming. And it looked like it landed or crashed into the field behind us, the farmer's field, which would only be about 50 yards from the fence, maybe. But we didn't hear any sounds. No crash sounds, no dust, no fire, no light. So we're really curious at this point in time. And so, being the age we were, I guess I was about 12 years old, we got up and we climbed up on the fence and we looked over and we didn't see anything. And we're watching and watching and watching. And then the next thing we know, we are sitting around the fire, which had gone out and the sun was up. So it was about 6 or 7 hours later from watching on the fence. We're sitting looking at each other, not saying a word. And all I did was look around and said, I got to go. And I packed up my stuff and I went home. And we never talked about it. We never shared anything. We never asked any questions. Never. I thought about it a few years later and I was going, well, what could it have been? First, we saw what looked like shooting stars, but they were in formations and they were changing directions. And then we saw what we thought was a meteorite coming and crashing in the backyard, or right behind the backyard in the field. And there was no crash site, there was no sound, there was no dust, there was nothing. And then we had the missing time. Questions should have been asked at the time, and they weren't. Why didn't we even want to talk about it? Why did we wake up and look at each other and just walk away? Where were we? It's a big gap of time. Now, I was reading a book a few years ago by somebody that I know and I like, J.Z. Knight, who happens to share the same birthday I do, March 16th, 1946. She was born in Texas, and I was born in San Francisco, California. But we shared a similar incident. She had something similar to this, except she was with her friends in high school. And they saw an object from their upstairs window at a slumber party, and then it's the morning and nobody's talking about it, and that was it. So I'm wondering how many more people are having these kind of experiences, and what could it possibly mean, and how could you not ask questions? This defies logic. So what was it? Where did it come from? What did we see? What happened to the missing time? Were we just two very sleepy boys that fell asleep on the fence and somehow ended up by the campsite? And I doubt it. We were wide awake at the campsite in the morning, and we were wide awake on the fence. But the more we focused on the field and trying to see what happened there, the less memory. It's just like, here we are looking to see, and there's no memory of that. Anyway, that happened in 1958, and I don't have any answers today. I had none then, and I didn't have any questions then. Now I got questions, but no answers.